Not because it's true, but because that's what you're signaling. Stop pretending your humility makes you strong, because the kind you were taught, where you constantly downplay your voice, reject your own power, and suppress your pride, is not strength. It's a slow surrender. It makes you hesitant. It makes you passive, and over time it robs you of your natural drive to dominate your own life. You start second-guessing your wins. You become addicted to approval. You hide behind false modesty instead of owning your truth. You let others define your value because you're too afraid to define it yourself. But there's another path, one where you don't have to choose between power and integrity, one where you stop hiding your fire behind the mask of humility and start walking with undeniable certainty. Because when you fully own who you are, when you stand in a room with the energy of someone who knows they belong, everything changes. People listen differently. Opportunities appear, respect multiplies, and it has nothing to do with arrogance. It has everything to do with alignment between your inner power and your outer expression. This world doesn't need another humble genius too afraid to speak. It needs warriors, leaders, voices that don't shake under pressure, people who are willing to rise without waiting to be called. If you want to be that person, then this is your line in the sand. You've been taught to disappear. Now it's time to learn how to take up space. And once you understand how the world really works, you'll never shrink yourself again. Because the moment you stop playing small is the moment everything starts to move in your favor. You've been shrinking yourself for so long that it feels normal, holding back your thoughts, minimizing your wins, dimming your light so no one feels uncomfortable around you. Ha! But that comfort is killing your potential. You weren't born to play small. That was taught to you, layer by layer, moment by moment, until it became a habit so deep you didn't even notice it anymore. Every time you tell yourself, I don't want to come off too strong, what you're really doing is betraying your own power. You're building a cage around your voice, your ambition, your greatness. And for what? So people won't feel threatened? So they'll like you more? So you won't make waves? That's not humility. That's fear with a fake halo. You are not meant to live in fear of your own strength. That anxiety you feel when you think about showing the world who you really are, that's not your weakness. That's your edge. That's your power trying to break free. And you've been taught to suppress it, taught to believe that wanting more, becoming more, demanding more is somehow selfish. But what if it's not? What if it's your duty? What if your boldness, not your humility, is what the world needs most? There is a difference between being humble and being invisible. You don't earn respect by hiding. You don't build a legacy by blending in. The most dangerous thing about humility is that it convinces you to stay silent while the world moves without you. You become a spectator in your own life, watching others take the risks, reap the rewards, and shape the future while you wait for the right time. But the right time never comes, because the longer you wait, the quieter you become. And the quieter you become, the easier you are to ignore. If you feel like no one sees you, it's because you haven't truly allowed yourself to be seen. If you feel like no one hears you, it's because you've muted your own voice in the name of humility. That ends now. You have every right to stand tall, speak up, and own your value without shame. This world will not give you space. You must take it, not with violence, but with certainty. Not with arrogance, but with full ownership of who you are and what you bring. Let the world adjust to your power, not the other way around. The more you lower yourself, the more you teach others to do the same. But the moment you stop apologizing for your brilliance, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror of what's possible, and that is leadership. That is impact. That is how you stop living small and start living on purpose. You were not made to shrink, you were made to rise. And the first step is to stop calling fear humility. Call it what it is, and then let it go. The world does not operate on good intentions. It operates on influence, dominance, and control. You can have a heart of gold and still be ignored. You can be brilliant and still be dismissed. You can be honest, loyal, and hardworking and still lose to someone who knows how to project power. Because this world doesn't reward the purest. It rewards the strongest. It rewards those who refuse to be underestimated. Those who understand that survival is not about who's right. It's about who's seen. And being humble in a ruthless world is like stepping into a battlefield with your hands tied behind your back. You're not being virtuous. You're being outplayed. They will tell you to be kind while they sharpen knives behind your back. They will praise your humility while they take your credit, your time, your position. And the moment you speak up, the moment you stop being small, they'll accuse you of being too much. That's the trap. Well, you're allowed to be great, just not greater than them. You're allowed to rise, just not faster than them. So they sell you humility as wisdom when it's really just control. And every time you buy into it, you hand them your power on a silver platter. You were not born to be manipulated into silence. You were born with instincts, with ambition, with a fire in your chest that refuses to die quietly. But humility has taught you to bury that fire, to soften your voice, to second-guess your instincts. And for what? To make others feel safe? To gain approval from people who never had your best interest in mind? That's not growth. That's submission. And you're not here to submit. You're here to ascend. There is no virtue in weakness, no dignity in letting the world step over you while you whisper about your worth. You don't need permission to stand tall. You don't need validation to own your space. What you need is the audacity to stop hiding behind false humility and start living in full strength. Because once you see what's really happening, how the system is designed to reward those who demand, not those who wait, you'll never unsee it. You'll realize that being humble isn't the noble path. It's the silent exit. Power respects power. Confidence attracts opportunity. A presence shifts rooms. And if you want to be respected, seen, and remembered, you must show up like someone who cannot be ignored. That's not ego. That's survival. That's truth. That's what separates those who live on their knees from those who build empires. You can keep waiting, or you can rise. You can keep playing the role they gave you, or you can become the person you were always meant to be. The world does not need more silence. It needs force. It needs energy. It needs you, unfiltered, unashamed, and untouchable. Stop hiding. Start dominating. That's the only way you win. There is a brutal truth most people never admit. This world doesn't care about your intentions, your kindness, or how humble you are. It cares about what you command. It responds to certainty, to presence, to power. The more you dilute yourself to be accepted, the more invisible you become. And the cost of being invisible isn't just missed opportunities, it's a life half-lived. You weren't born to be agreeable. You weren't meant to dilute your voice just to keep the peace. You were built to lead, to create impact, to be a force. But as long as you carry the weight of false humility, you will never step fully into that identity. They've trained you to believe that being confident is a sin, that asserting your value is arrogance, that taking up space is selfish. And you know which one has been running your life, but you're not here to live half of your truth. You're here to burn so brightly that your very presence becomes a statement. No more apologizing, no more minimizing, no more standing at the edge of your own life. It's time to take center stage, not because you crave attention, but because your purpose demands visibility. The cost of being overlooked is far greater than the risk of being seen. When you stop hiding, you give yourself permission to grow. You give others permission to rise. You start attracting the life that matches your true energy, and that's where everything changes, not because you became someone else, but because you finally became all of you. The most dangerous thing you can do is pretend you're less than you are, and the most powerful thing, to stop pretending. Completely. Forever. You can feel it, the tension between who you've been and who you're meant to be. One version is silent, cautious, easy to overlook. The other is bold, focused, impossible to ignore. You were never meant to stay in the shadows of your own life. But humility, the way it's been sold to you, convinces you that holding back is noble, that staying soft is strength, that staying silent is wisdom. And that lie has cost you more than you realize. It's cost you visibility. It's cost you momentum. It's cost you the full expression of your potential. You've been molding yourself to be agreeable, to be digestible, to be non-threatening. You've been taught that being accepted is more important than being impactful, that you should blend in to avoid conflict. That modesty means safety, but none of that creates power. None of that earns respect. It only trains people to expect less from you, and when people expect less, they give you less. Less trust, less opportunity. less influence. The world will always reflect back the energy you give it. If you lead with hesitation, you will be met with doubt. If you speak like your voice doesn't matter, people will treat it like it doesn't. And if you constantly play small, the world will never make room for you to be big. Humility becomes dangerous when it stops you from showing up fully, when it masks your confidence, when it kills your instincts. You were made to move with certainty, to speak like you mean it, to stand in your truth and refuse to be moved by opinions. But that version of you can't emerge until you stop apologizing for your strength, until you stop calling your fire arrogance, until you stop disguising your power as politeness. There is nothing righteous about shrinking. There is nothing noble about hiding. If your presence makes people uncomfortable, that's their weakness, not yours. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't need to explain why you're choosing to rise. You don't need to soften your truth to make others feel secure. If your energy disrupts their comfort, so be it. You were not created to stay small to protect fragile egos. You were created to step into every room like you belong there, because you do. The longer you hesitate, the more you deny the world your gift, and no one benefits from your absence. Not you. Not the people you were meant to lead, not the impact you were born to create. This is the point where humility is no longer an option. It's a liability. You've outgrown the mask. You've outgrown the fear. You've outgrown the quiet. You are ready to be seen. Not later, not when it's perfect, but now. Because there's nothing more dangerous than a person who finally decides to stop waiting. And there's nothing more powerful than the moment you stop shrinking and take back everything you were told to suppress. Fully, loudly, unapologetically. This is the moment everything shifts, the moment you stop looking for external approval and start giving yourself permission. You don't need validation to take up space. You don't need applause to speak with authority. And none of that happens when you're constantly questioning if you're too much. Being too much is exactly what the world needs from you. Too focused, too clear, too intense, too committed, too fearless. The world doesn't need more watered-down souls hiding behind fake humility. It needs fire. It needs force. It needs people who are done asking for permission to be powerful. The moment you decide to stop filtering your light is the moment people start to notice. Not because you've changed who you are, but because you've stopped hiding who you've always been. Power doesn't come from pretending. It comes from owning your space so completely that others either rise with you or step aside. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to shrink to earn respect. You don't need to tiptoe through life hoping you don't offend someone by standing in your truth. You were not created to be soft-spoken when your purpose demands clarity. You were not shaped for invisibility when your soul burns to be seen. You're not doing anyone a favor by withholding your potential. The greatest betrayal is not what others do to you, it's what you do to yourself when you silence your own power. So let this be the day you stop looking down. Stop whispering. Stop minimizing. You are not here to fit in. You are here to rise above, fully, clearly, without shame, without apology. The mask is off. The fire is yours. Now step forward like you were born to lead, because you were.